Okay, since we've got some new families to Latin, I am just going to put together, this is just a quick Latin boot camp for you. So I'm going to try and keep it brief, but hope that this kind of covers the basics. Okay, and I've got it all on my board here. I generally don't have my board this full. I will have these declension endings that are related to our nouns. I will have these up as my student is translating in the mornings. I have those up during translation because it makes it nice and easy to reference. And then these other things, this is just information that I'm going to go over to just kind of help you down here. Otherwise, these things are generally up on my board while my son is starting to learn this as well. So what I want to show you, and maybe I'll start down here, is that there are just basic cases in Latin, okay? And the cases really are what we would in English call the jobs. It's sort of what the word is doing in the sentence in English. In Latin, they call that the case, what job it holds, okay? So anytime they're saying, tell me what case this particular word is, teram, what case is that? I know that I'm going to go over and think, okay, well, teram, I know, tera, terai, that's the vocabulary. And these endings tell me the nominative here and the genitive. The nominative and the genitive endings are given on all vocabulary words. Those are the first two that are listed. So that's in the singular. And so I know that teram would be an accusative case because that's how I have it listed here. Okay, so when we come down here, there's a little tune that I teach the kids also. It's just a little chant. It goes, and this is the Latin. These are the Latin words, and this is the English equivalent for those words. So the nominative is a subject. A genitive means it's a possessive. So in English, we would use an apostrophe S. In Latin, they also like to use the word of that starts in front of the word that is possessive, of Mary, something like that. The dative is an indirect object, accusative is a direct object, and then you have an oblative, which is an object of a preposition. Okay, so the little quick chant is just nominative, subject, genitive, possessive, dative, indirect object, accusative, direct object, oblative, object of the preposition. It's just a quick little chant, but it's been really helpful for the kids to be able to just quickly retain that information so that they're able to kind of just, start and work from that point. Now there's also in the book, they'll talk about finding the stem of nouns. Okay, so anything that has a declension, it's all nouns. Anything related to declensions. The first declension is all related to these are noun endings that tell you what job this word is doing in the sentence, right? Because we just talked about the jobs, okay, what they do in the sentence. And then I've got the second declension. There's two second declensions. This is the masculine endings that are listed here in the singular and the plural. And then we have second declension neuter, and the things that are highlighted in pink just show you what's different between the masculine and the neuter. They're very closely related, okay? And so we have to memorize the vocabulary to know which ending and which declension this belongs to, right? Because if I have amicus, amici, I know that us ending is going to be this second declension masculine. And I know that this ending, bellum, belly, remember it gives us the nominative and the genitive. I can tell the belongs to the second declension neuter because it's different than this one here. This is us, this one's okay? All right, that's just a quick little note there. So then, as I started to say, finding the stem of a noun. So in the vocabulary, they give you the nominative singular and the genitive singular, as we said, tera, terai. And in order to find what the stem of these particular words are, is you look to the genitive. It's always the second word given in the vocabulary, and you can look at the genitive and it'll tell you to drop those last two letters. So if you drop the AE, there's your stem, T-E-R-R, and ter, right here, is your stem. And ter means land or earth, okay? Now, sometimes in the book, they'll tell you, we want you to decline tera, terai. And some parents are like, I don't even know what that means. Now, in your answer key, if you've got the Seton answer key, then it'll list it out for you. If you have the Henley answer key, it won't list it. So what they mean by declining is simply taking that stem, ter, and then tacking on the endings that belong to it. So remember, tera, terai, gloria, gloriae, Maria, Mariae, all of those words belong to this first declension, and therefore these endings will get tacked onto its stem. So I'm going to locate the stem by looking at the second word in my vocabulary that's given. This is the genitive, right? The genitive singular, right? That AE. And I drop it to see I get tear. Now I write tear all down here, and then I just tack on the endings that we just talked about here. The I, and then it's I, Arum, is, as, is. And so you just add the stem there and tack them on, and you've just declined that noun. Okay, that's how it's declined. Now you might also, in declining, they might ask you to put meaning, where you would put, for example, I'm going to go up here and show you, these are the articles that belong with each of these, the nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative. Does not matter what declension you're working in, these are always the same. So this is an a or the that belongs with a nominative when you translate. Anytime you have a subject, you'll start it with, the sailor, okay? The, nata, okay? You would put, that's how you'd translate. If they gave you nata in the subject, right? Because nominative is the subject, you'd say the sailor or a sailor if it's singular, right? These articles are very helpful. Anytime we see an of phrase, we know it's a genitive, or if we're labeling a Latin word and we know it's genitive, when we translate, we're going to place the word of in front of that. Of Marii, okay? Of Mary, showing possession. If we have a dative, which is an indirect object, that indirect object is going to use these words, to or for, in translating. If you have an accusative, you'll notice these are the same. The nominative and accusative use the same articles, a or the, when translating. And then by, with, or from. You get to sort of choose. So if the answer key put with the sailor, and you put by the sailor or from the sailor, it doesn't matter. We're just looking to see that you labeled it correctly, that this ablative is an object of the preposition, and it would have this ending attached to it. So the difference, sometimes, you have to look at this and ask, what's different between the nominative and the ablative? And it's simply this macron. That macron up there makes the A make the third sound in English, which is the ah sound. This is more like you're getting punched in the stomach. Ugh. Okay, it's an sound. And then we also have a little song that goes along with this as well, for the first declension, which is feminine. Though you will find that the word sailor is listed in the first declension, and we know that sailors back in the day, they were never females. They were always male. And so in Latin, that is the one rule breaker that you will learn about, is that nata, natai, will take the gender of masculine. So to sing this really quickly, it's just I am I, singular first declension. I, Arum, is, as, is. I, Arum, is, as, is. I, Arum, is, as, is. Plural first declension. Okay, and then when you get to the second declension, this one has a tune as well, and it just says us, e, o, o. Us, e, o, o. Us, e, o, o. Singular second declension. E, orum, is, os, is. E, orum, is, os, is. E, orum, is, os, is. Plural second declension. There is not a little tune for the second declension neuter. It's just simply on its own, but you could always make your own little jingle. And then when you come down and you start exercise 1 in the Latin book, it shows you Arum, and it says, let me look really, actually I am incorrect. This is exercise 2. So exercise 1 just had some basic showing you how to decline. And so in exercise 1, you're actually declining all of your vocabulary words just like this. Okay. Now when we get to exercise 2, okay, exercise 2 tells us, tell what cases these forms are, right here, exercise 2. Tell what cases these forms are and give the meanings. Okay, they just said cases. Okay, they want to know cases and meanings. So we're going to go back to what we know about our cases and just look at those again really quickly. And I'm going to come back here. I'm going to try to get all kind of on the same screen here. Arum. It's asking me for case. So I know this is my stem, ter. and I know this is tacked on. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to look at There's my am ending. There's no other am ending in here. It is a singular accusative. Okay, and so when they ask for case, the case is accusative. I like to also add, and I put here GNC for your gender, number, case. That's just a really helpful thing to learn and to practice right off the bat with nouns, is to always know their gender, number, and case. You have to know that. It's just, it makes the rest of Latin much easier if you already know these and practice them regularly. And so this is also feminine that I'm going to tack onto there. And what does that translate to? Terram. Okay, we said it's we know that ter means earth or land, and I know that I have to tack on one of these articles. So I'm going to translate it as the land. Okay, and that is how we are going to complete this exercise. Look at the next one, silvas. I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to think silva, silvi, because that's how I learned my vocabulary. And then I know based on those endings, I'm in a first declension, and I can see the as, and I know there's only one as being given here, which makes it an accusative plural. So we need to think, all right, they told me case, I'm going accusative plural, and I also know that this is a feminine word, and it's going to translate as, I know that silva, silvi, or silwa, it's usually a W sound, not a V, silwa, silwi, up here, means forest. And so I'll translate it, it's in the plural. So I'm going to use the article the or a because it's accusative, and I'm going to say the forests. Okay, and I'm running out of space here, but that's all right. The forests, a little bit sloppy. Next one is port arum. Okay, I can tell that this is my stem because I know that arum is right up here, and it's a genitive plural. So it asks me for case, which is genitive. You can see here, and it's plural. So I'm going to put my genitive, and I'm going to put, whoops, kind of sloppy, my genitive plural down, and then I'm going to translate. You can also put down its feminine, port arum. And so I'm going to look back at how do I translate that in the English, right? Because we have to add articles. These things have to get added because they're not accounted for in Latin. So in order to make it make sense, we have to add those. So I'm going to say of the gate. Okay, and that's just how the genitive gets translated with the of. Or you could put gates, apostrophe S, like this, G-A-T-E, apostrophe S, and that's a genitive as well. And then when we come to Victoriae, you're going to notice, look at this, we've got 1, 2, 3 of the same endings here. Okay, so I'm just going to list all of those. I will write down genitive singular, dative singular, nominative plural. And then I can translate each of those in just a small little list, and it's just getting you familiar with the vocabulary. And then finally, I'm just going to show you quick flashcards as to how we do flashcards here. So what I did for my son is the first week, you're going to find that this is in the grammar, it's going to cover this declension, the first declension. These are the things that we need to know. And so you'll find this in the blue book. This is what I'm holding now, is the blue one. This is the grammar, and it's grammar number 31. And this is what the kids memorize. Okay, this is everything I have up on my board right here, and the jobs that go along with it. Okay, so those are all listed here. And you'll find the additional rules that are listed that they need to know down here as well. So what I do is on the first flashcard for that declension, I just wrote this out this way for my son. I put singular, and then I put the nominative, the jobs, the plural, and then I put up in the top that this is a rule. Number 31 is boxed in to let him know this is a grammar rule, and that's where he can find it on the page. And that's the declension endings for the first declension. And then we go to the next card, and I have the rule that was given also that all nouns naming male persons are masculine, which is why in the first declension, not ta, not tie, is masculine. Okay, so let me look here. Then we have our next terra, terrae. And then I have him put on the back of his vocabulary words, he'll write down what it means. And then down here at the bottom, my finger's barely covering, first declension, feminine. Okay, so those are some of the things that you want to put in the cards. And then when we come to other rules later on, I just add them. Or when we get to a new declension, I make that same kind of card that shows the declension here. And you'll find this was the first declension, and then you have the second declension on the next page, and then the neuter declension here on the next page. So that's how we kind of organize our things and sort of get Latin rolling. I also wanted to show you, this is how we start our morning. When I say do a warm-up with your declension endings, I have a sheet like this. And they just fill out their declension endings. And then we just wash it off. So this is just how we get started. I hope that's helpful to you.